The Republican-controlled House and Senate have voted to repeal internet privacy protections, and a lot of people are unhappy about it. The bill now heads to President Trump's desk for the repeal to become final. This morning, Fox 19 Now tech expert Dave Hatter is here to explain what this means for you. And I jokingly said last night on Twitter when we were teasing this that anyone who uses the internet needs to listen up.
I agree, because this really impacts anyone that gets on the internet through an internet service provider, which is everyone.
Okay, so my question, why are there not more guidelines besides just this particular bill to protect people online?
I think that's a tough question to answer. And there's really, I think, three reasons. One, the technology has and continues to advance very rapidly, so it's difficult for legislators and bureaucrats and policymakers to keep up with it. Two, you have a powerful lobby of these tech companies, whether it's ISPs or Google, Facebook, Microsoft, who want your data for their own purposes and, of course, to sell. And I think also your average consumer doesn't really understand how much data there is about themselves out there and what the potential consequences of all that data is, both now and in the future, as more is collected and aggregated and used in ways that people would have never thought of. So there's not a lot of people out there demanding this. You've got privacy organizations like Electronic Frontier Foundation, Center for Democracy and Technology, who are raising alarm over this. But I don't think the average person really understands or is paying any attention to it.
But they're doing it to all of us.
Pretty much. You know, while in general, I'm not a huge fan of the FCC and a lot of their rulings in the past, if I would have had the opportunity to vote on this, I would have voted to keep these privacy protections in place, simply because I don't think people really understand the ramifications. And in this particular case, like when you use Google or Facebook, you're agreeing to give them your data to use their service for free. That's the exchange you make, whether you like it or not. In this case, you're paying these internet service providers to access their networks to get on the internet. So the argument that, well, we're giving you the service for free, so we're going to use your data, doesn't really hold water to me. Although, again, this really is nothing new. They were doing this before. This just lets them continue. Because in October 2016, they passed this rule, and now Congress has repealed it. It would have gone into effect in December. So to some extent, this is a tempest in a teapot, but I think it does hopefully raise awareness. People need to pay attention to these things, and hopefully there'll be some kind of change in the future that will give you more control over your data.
And you said something that stuck with me earlier, talking about Congress specifically. You said there are strong lobbyists out there, because the question is, why would they repeal this? And there's some people out there who, well, they're selling good information. It's making them a lot of money.
Well, exactly. You know, you've got lobbyists from people like AT&T and Verizon, Comcast, these large internet service providers who say, well, okay, Google and Facebook are already doing this, whether this thing exists or not. Microsoft is doing this, so why can't we do it? And I mean, that argument does make sense to me to some extent. And if you listen to the arguments from their side, I can buy some of them. But the problem in my mind is you as a consumer really probably have no idea how much of this is being done, have no control over your data. And now, unlike a Google or a Facebook, so if you go to Google and you search, Google has all of your search history. They'll do whatever they want with it. That's part of your deal. But they don't know what you search for on Bing or DuckDuckGo or some other search engine. Everything you do is going through your internet service provider. They have it all. Everything that you're doing online, they got it all if they want it. So you have more exposure there. And frankly, they want to sell that data because it makes them more money.
Okay, now, other than not using the internet, which, let's be realistic.
Yeah, let's be realistic.
Not going to happen.
Right.
Is there anything that can be done?
There are some things you can do. Unfortunately, it requires a certain amount of technical savvy to some extent. You can use virtual private network or VPN software, which frankly is a good thing to do, whether you care about privacy or not. It's a security as much as a privacy thing. You can use the Onion router, which is a software network system that basically sends stuff all over the place. It makes it harder to track you. You can use browser plugins like ad blockers and HTTPS everywhere. So these will give you more privacy and more anonymity to some degree. Kevin Mitnick's book, Kevin Mitnick is like the world's most famous hacker. He'd be great for you guys to get in here sometime, by the way. So there are
he can set up my computer at home. Is that what you're saying?
And of course, you can Google these kind of things, which now Google will have that information, and so will your ISP. But there are some things you can do. You're not completely left in the woods here, but you have to know the right questions to ask and kind of seek that information out.
Well, let me tell you what, if you are seeking information, everything that he just said, because if it went over your head like some of it did mine as far as the Onion router, etc., the virtual private network, I'm going to post that for you at fox19now.com. Although, if you use Google, they can find it. It's still going to be there. Dave Hatter, thanks so much.
My
Good
pleasure,
information.
Kara.
We appreciate it.
Anytime.
Always making us alarmed a little bit and aware.
Yeah, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but you know, education and awareness.
He always is, but we have to be aware. That's what we're here for. Frank, you're keeping us weather aware.
I'm burning my phones. I'm destroying my iPads. I'm erasing my identity. Cash only. Let's see how much do I have to survive on today? Oh, $2. I'm going to go really, really far. That's going to actually $3. We'll be good. Hey.